Hello everyone. Thank you for joining today's session. My name is Savo Bakhtiar. I'm 51 Labs coordinator. Just a little bit background about our organization. 51 Labs is a non-profit startup incubator. We are working with entrepreneurs to launch and grow their businesses. So basically our entrepreneurs, they are provided with trainings, mentorship by successful entrepreneurs from the Middle East and United States. And they're also provided with this amazing community of creative change makers to share their experiences with. In today's session, we are covering the topic of leadership, which is something I know a lot of people are interested in. With that being said, I would love to introduce our presenter today, who is an amazing person, Mr. Muhammad Fahd Khan. Mr. Fahd has over 20 years of human resource management, training, consulting experience. He has served in multinational companies in various capacities across MENA region. A recorded version of this webinar will be available across our social media platforms, as well as our previous webinars. As these kind of webinars reoccur every single month. If it's not twice a month, it's at least once a month. So stay tuned for our upcoming webinars as well. One point, as most of you might know, next week is Global Entrepreneurship Week, and 51 Labs has arranged amazing event, free to join. So if you want, you can check our Facebook for registration, and I hope to see you all. As for today, we would love to hear from all of you, but as for now, we will mute everyone. And at the end, Mr. Fahd will give a Q&A session where you can ask your question. If you have any question during the session, there's a chat box on the right side of your screen. You can share your question, and at the end, I will read them out to Mr. Fahd, and he will answer them. And now, without any further ado, Mr. Muhammad, the mic is yours. There you go.
Thank you, Savo. Really appreciate for this wonderful start, and I'm very grateful to 51 Labs team and especially you for arranging this knowledge sharing event. And as you know, that I've been in different positions in my career, and I am a student of leadership subject itself, and I'm learning every day, every year. So I thought to, discuss my learning with the participants here, and I am thankful to them also for coming online, for listening me. We will be having about 30 to 40 minutes of this discussion, and afterwards, if you have any questions, I can answer those questions. So I'll jump right away on the topic, which is what makes a leader. So if you look at the topic, so we will be covering these aspects in today's discussion. We will learn about what is leadership. We will know a little bit in depth what leadership is all about, and what is leadership and what is management. What manager need to do as a leader in today's corporate world. It's very challenging, and it's rapidly growing, and there is more complexity coming in the workplace. So we will cover that aspect as well. And then in the later part of the presentation, we will be looking at leading team performance and what is a servant leader. So I will take a 2 minutes pause here because of this Azan. I think it's coming online, so I'll mute my mic, and just 2 minutes.
Sure, thank you.
So we'll resume back. So these are the topics which we will cover today's discussion. And in the end, we will look at the perspective of how we can become a servant leader and how manager can become a servant leader in today's multi-generational workforce. So with this, I will briefly explain about myself. I am heading my own consultancy, and I'm based in Middle East. I travel across Middle East, and I am a leadership, organization development, and change management consultant. And I'm a Marshall Goldsmith certified executive coach as well. My career started dates back in 1996 from information technology field, and thereon I moved across different positions, and I moved to field in human resource management and administration. And for the last 10-15 years, I'm more focused on organization development, developing future managers and leaders, and coaching the executives. So this is my focus. And my qualifications, I have an MBA in general management, and then I have some certifications on different topics related to human resource management, psychometric analysis, and I am a certified psychometric test and competency developer as well. And I have written different articles on different topics, and they are published in one of the leading newspaper in the Gulf as well, and in my country. I'm from Pakistan. And I am a firm believer that when we connect with our society and our individuals and corporates and academia, we grow a lot. In my 25 plus years of career, I have tried to be part of all these segments, and I've delivered services across these segments of society, academia, corporate, and I always link myself with the academia because they are producing future leaders. So we as professionals, we need to be in sync with the curriculum they are teaching, the subjects they are teaching, so that when their graduates come out of the universities or colleges, they are compatible with the workforce. So I deliver services through coaching, training, consulting, speaking, and writing. Now I'll jump on to this topic itself, that what makes a leader. So I will ask you guys, if you can just think about it, or if you want to type it in the chat box, you can type what qualities you think a leader should have. I will take a pause here, and I would like to see if anybody can comment on that. Very good. Communication. And definitely the level of communication should be good and should be open. Any other quality we can think about? Very good. Supporting others. Definitely, a leader has to play a role to support others and provide the resources so that the team and the people he is serving, they can deliver. And definitely accept different ideas. So he has to be, open to ideas and the suggestion of his team, and being supportive, and definitely have a message and a goal. So thank you so much for all these comments. So we will keep reflecting these points in this discussion. So I'll share my teacher's quote with you. He's Marshall Goldsmith. He's an amazing person and amazing coach. He says that successful people become great leaders when they learn to shift the focus from themselves to others. And some of you have already pointed this out. Then when a leader, he listens to others, he is basically serving them. And another management guru, Peter Drucker, he also mentioned this point in a different way. He said that leader of the past knew how to tell, and the leader of the future will know how to ask. So if you look at Marshall's concept and Peter Drucker's concept, they both are referring to very important qualities. I call them three essential qualities, and basically Marshall has developed whole program on this. This is These qualities are basically courage, humility, and discipline. So any leader, if he is high on courage and humility and discipline, he is serving his people. If any leader or a manager, he's low on courage, humility, and discipline, he is not serving his people. So these three qualities, and some of you have already pointed these out. I just put it in a short form. Now, if you look at what is leadership, so leadership is basically is not something you do to people, it is something you do with people. So the leader has to take along the people with him. He has to listen to them, he must talk to them, he must communicate, he must have a vision, he must have a mission, so that people can align themselves with that vision and mission, right? So why leadership is needed? We will look at this aspect as well. The leader is important because he has to lead people, but why he will be leading people? He has to have a vision and plan, so that when you implement that vision and mission through your plan, you can make it realize for the people that you are growing, you are moving ahead. And effective leaders, they harness the energies and they gain the commitment of their people towards great achievement. So when you have a vision and when you have a mission and you're planning and you're getting up and you're setting goals, the leaders, they transfer those energies to people, and in return, what they get commitment, they get engagement from people. So if the team is aligned, they have energy and they are committed, then you will see results. Then you will see that there is an achievement going on. And that is why that leadership is not about pulling people, it's about asking them to willingly participate. And the key elements in this whole paradigm is vision. Vision gives you clarity, because clarity is knowing where you need to go. And motivation is the energy needed to go there. So encouraging the people to work with you to achieve the vision. That is what leadership is all about. And what is the context of leadership in the organization? Why organization need leaders? There are three main reasons for that. One is the direction, the other one is the motivation, and the third one is inspiration. Each aspect gives you purpose, meaning, and engagement. If the people are not purposeful, driven, and they are not having a meaningful connection at the workplaces and in the teams, they will not be engaged. They will not feel comfortable working in any setup. So purpose, having a purpose, having meaning, having engagement is very critical. And that's why we say that these allow people within organization to produce extraordinary results over the long term. If you look at some of the countries, I will give you an example. If you look at some of the countries, why they are progressing day by day, year on, there is a reason. If I give you an example of Germany, Germany, if you look at their different industries, they are among the top in most of the major industries in the world. If you look at, DHL, it's also a German company. If you look at airlines, Lufthansa, if you look at information technologies, SAP, it's also German. If you look at automobiles, there are many brands from German. Mercedes is one of them. And these guys, I mean, they are among the top five always in the football World Cup. If you look at the manufacturing, their engineering products are state of the art. Now, these things, they are not by chance, they are by design. And they basically put up this purpose in their system, in their organization, in their people, in their development, in their society, that we will be having a purpose, we will be giving better and world-class quality products and services. So that is why all the people, they work through that system, they participate in that system, and they bring in their skills, they polish those skills. And that is why where you see they are where they are today, and they are progressing day on. Now if I'll ask you, think about any one leader which you like, write a quality in the chat box, please. Any quality which you like in the leader you like. I will look at your comments. Very good. So ethics is one of them. Accountability. Yes, this is one you're looking for in the leader you like: accountability, ethics, creativity, motivation, trust. Thank you so much for this word, trust. Trust is very critical element in delivering and serving the people. Wisdom, passion, very good, very good. So let's look at the competencies which a leader should have. So there are some leadership competencies. First one is creating and communicating the meaning. The second is genuine caring about people, external focus. When you are working in an organizational setup, you need to have an external focus, that where the industry is heading, what are the market trends, and so on and so forth. Awareness of the big picture, because if you have the big picture, then you can lead the people, you can tell them what's coming ahead and where we are heading. Clear, honest communication. Now we will look at them one by one, that why creating and communicating meaning is important for any leader. Leaders can make the important things clear for their teams, for their people. They differentiate from urgent and less important, and important and less urgent, so that team can focus on what is required today, what is required in the next week, and what will be required in the coming month, and so and so forth. Leaders can make the meaning of the organization clear through the mission and vision. So that is why the leadership teams, they play a very critical role with the senior management, with the CEO, because they bring that vision and mission in practical terms to the team. And that is why leaders are clear and targeted on achieving the mission. So if they are not clear, they will have unclear targets. And that is why we see that many organizations, many teams, they struggle because there is no clarity where they are heading. And that is why, first of all, having a vision is very, very important. And then clearly crafting and developing the communication to the team is very critical. Now, the other competence is genuine caring about people. Now, the great leaders, what they do, they want to know their people. They sit with them, they listen to them, they know where they are. Show that they care about their people through different policies, through different activities, through appreciating them, and involve their people. Whatever new initiatives are taken, they always involve their people in those. They listen to them, they seek their input, and they implement those inputs also. And trust and value their people. How the trust comes in? Trust is very, very critical element. When when a leader shares something with the team and team delivers without doing micromanagement, that is the indicator that team is listening and they are aligned with the leader, and that builds the trust. And with successive such activities, the trust is built up, and it grows. And obviously they value their people also, their inputs, their work. What is external focus and why it is important? If a leader is just focused on inside and he is not looking outside, it will be a problem. So he has to look outside and build his focus, that what are the threats, what are the different trends coming up, what are the new opportunities coming up, if there any new change coming up, if there any information, any benchmarking he has to do, he should do that. And he has to look at his customers, whether they are satisfied, they are not satisfied, they are happy, are they loyal, do you have repeated customers, what they are saying. So you build communication with your customers and you share that communication internally with the people. So if you share this information, external information, with internal development with people, they will definitely get a lot of input, and you will the leader will achieve better results. If you look at some of the the organizations which were unable to see these they were lacking external focus, I give you example of Nokia. Nokia at one time, it was one of the market leaders in cell phone. Look what has happened to them. They lost focus outside, and the leadership team failed, and the company got bankrupt. Same thing happened with BlackBerry. Same thing happened with Kodak. they were not looking outside what the competition is shaping up into. So the other aspect is clear and honest communication. So the great leaders, they always tell the truth. They share what's happening with the teams. They have transparent communication process. They build communication channels. They do not operate a culture of blame that this has happened because of you, this happened because of you. So they take the blame, but they build the system around them so that the people should not repeat those mistakes, and there should not be any blaming culture. And they do not practice scapegoat, that they put on blame on someone else always. They don't do that. So great leaders, what they do, they speak in unambiguous, plain language. They don't confuse people. They speak in very clear and honest way. And they are aware of the big picture. The big picture is there, where the organization is heading and where the organization is going through in the industry, in the market. So they understand all the context of the business and the environment they operate, and they translate those external context into terms meaningful to the people, because people don't know what's happening outside because of their levels. So what they do, they translate into a meaningful format for the people. And then they align the organization with the trends that add value. So if you're not changing your organization, you are doomed. And then they take a strategic view of the activities. So whatever is important, they take strategic perspective. They define goals which are targeted, which has a strategic value. And then they share with the team and with the people that why they are important, that why we need to focus on this goal right now, and why we don't need to focus on this goal right now, and we'll focus on the next week or next month because of that strategic alignment. So what makes an effective leader? So we will look at it, that what are the traits? There are some of the competencies we discuss. Now we will look at the traits, because these traits are very important to become an effective leader. These traits, they focus on behavioral and situational elements. So what are the traits, the characteristics they exhibit? Behaviors that they show while they work and they lead people, and situation when they find themselves in. So we will look in a little detail on these things, that what are the traits. There is a school of thought which says that leaders are born, not made. So with this approach, there are some traits which we consider in leaders, which we consider as intelligence. They take initiatives, they are self-confident, they are mature, they are people oriented, they have organization capability, and some of the aspects which you have written in the chat box also, these also come thereon as well. If you look at the behavior, so if you look at the leader which you just thought about and you put up his traits in the chat box, just think about him, or let's say think about yourself. When you are in a certain situation, how do you behave? So there are some task related behaviors. When you are planning, when you are resourcing, and when you are getting things done, how do you behave? And then there are people related behaviors. Then when you need support from people, how do you behave? When you need commitment from people, when you need engagement, how do you behave? And when you need motivation from people, how do you behave? So think about that leader in mind, and put yourself also, if you are a leader, that how do you behave in these type of situations. Now comes the situations, that leadership style shown as independent among the situation in question due to the nature of the task. So when you are in a particular situation on any task, how do you approach? When you are expecting some result from your followers, how do you react? What are the characteristics of the followers you look at? And when you express your authority in situations, how do you do that? Do you use knowledge? Do you use your position, or do you use your personality? So an effective leader is basically who juggles between these three traits, that he has some aspects of traits approach, and he has a behavioral approach, and he has a situational approach. So if you look at yourself and put yourself in certain situations, you will see yourself, that what traits you have and how do you use those traits into a particular situation you serve in any business or any team, and what behavior you exhibit, and what situational approach you take while you go through that process. Because if you do all these things, your team will also adapt to that. And that is why when leaders, they become authoritative, their team becomes very stressed, because you are pushy, you want to get things done quickly, and you lack patience. So if you look at and you think about the previous slide I've shared with you, which states that if a good leader, a leader is effective when he is high on courage, humility, and discipline. If you look at these traits, if somebody is high, he is sharing knowledge with people, he is listening to them, he has a very balanced personality, and he behaves very maturely in tough situations, and when there is a tough call needed, he behaves properly. And when he's low, you can think about a leader which you come across in your career and in your life, that how he behaves, and you will get the answer. So now comes, what is leadership and what is management? So if you look at leadership, the skill of getting others to willingly do what you want them to do. So leadership focuses on empowerment. It inspires people. However, if you look at the management deciding what to do and then getting it done through the effective use of resources. So it has less empowerment, or you can say no empowerment, because he is more focused on performance. So when you are managing, you are just managing the performance. When you are leading, you are empowering, you are inspiring people, you are giving them room for improvement, you are listening their suggestions. So if you look at the focus as managers, the managers, they set goals, they use tactics, they put things in order, and they follow consistency, they measure and they monitor, they have a short-term focus. But if you look at the leaders' perspective, the leaders focus on people. What they do, they have a vision, they have a long-term view, they have a strategy, they have emotional support, which we call it emotional intelligence. So they are high on emotional intelligence, they understand, they have high humility, they have high empathy, and they are change focused, they always look for improvements, and they have a long-term focus, right? And if you look at the activities in management, if you look at the number one activity, I'm just putting an example for you, creating an agenda. So in management, what you do, you plan and budget. But in leadership, what you do is establish direction. You set the true north, and then you lead. If you do a developing human network for achieving this agenda, whatever agenda you have, you will organize and you will staff if you are managing. But when you are leading, you are aligning people, you are aligning their behaviors, you are aligning their trust, you are aligning their commitment. And if you execute plans, if you look at the management, you control and solve problems. However, when you are leading, you are motivating and you are inspiring. You have a collective knowledge sharing habit, where you proactively manage people, and people also know that we need to avoid this mistake, and then we plan ahead. And that's why you do the proactive work management, rather than correcting the problems. So what we say, so we need to have a balance. So managers need to have some leadership skills, similarly leaders need to have some management skills, right? So the key contribution from the leaders, what are the key contributions? These can be classified as vision, communication of direction, objectives, high standard of personal integrity and humility, cohesion of the team is connected, they are engaged, and the leader is inspiring. If you look at manager, he's more task focused, he is communicating based on the requirements, he has a high standard for personal performance, so he wants to deliver the results, and he's more focused on function of the team rather than cohesion of the team, and he is more focused on confidence and motivation. If you look at the difference, that leader is engaging the people and he is inspiring the people, and manager is building the confidence, but at the same time he's trying to motivate them as well. But in today's world, if you look at the hyper connected and hyper changing world, there are certain aspects which managers and leaders has to focus on. That is why they these days the management is not easy, and each manager has to learn certain aspects. One of this aspect is drivers for change. You see, if you look around yourself, how rapidly the socio-political environment is changing, how economics are changing. Today you have Uber, you have Lyft, you have Airbnb. These companies, they have change the industries. They are affecting the big brands. Now, these companies, they don't own a single asset, but they are among the top companies in the world in their respective industries. Why? Because they have used that change to develop their model. And if a manager is not focused on these drivers for change, he will not be able to lead the organization in a professional manner, and same as for the people. So the drivers for change: economic, social, political, globalization, technological advancement. You see, there is a lot of technology coming up at the workplace. Now we have, now technology is very easily available and it's cheap. 20 years ago, it wasn't like that. Now you can implement an ERP in a very different price ranges, and it can enhance your workflow very easily. Before that, they were expensive. You need to hire a team of people. Now it's cloud. So you don't even need to buy, technology at your workplace. You can host everything on the cloud. These are the drivers for changes. If you look at economic and social, political, market economy, work mobility, diverse workforce. Now, workers are mobile. You can hire anyone, whether they can travel or they can do remotely for your organization. So they are mobile workers. Similarly, for workforce, the workforce is diverse. They are multi-generational workforce at the workplace right now. I'll explain this in the coming slide, that what is multi-generational workforce and why it is important for manager to learn and manage these people. But if you look at globalization, companies are looking for excellence. They want to add value through their services and products, and they focus on quality more, not only from the product side but also from the services side. Now you have another paradigm which we say experience management. Customer wants to have a seamless experience when they interact with your organization and your people. So you need to build processes and systems and behaviors and attitude of the people, so that the customer they can see that the experience they are having with your organization and with your team uh, is very professional, and it has no broken links. So you focus on quality in every aspect. Then supply chain management, customer expectation and satisfaction. Right now you need to connect with customers. If you want to listen to them, if you listen to them, you will improve your services, you will improve your products. But if you don't listen to them, you will be, you will fail. If you look at technological advancements, you see the product life cycles are reduced. Now you can develop any product through predefined modules. You can combine them and the product is ready. So manufacturing is so quick and so easy and so diverse. And you can transfer these products, different parts across the world within few hours. And information flow is fast through technological advancements. Data management. These days we are talking about big data. We are talking about smart cities, smart cars, smart homes. How this is happening? This is happening because of the data management and data analysis. Communication technologies, they are increasing, they are advancing. And if you look at uh, all these aspects, they are impacting any organization, and so as they are impacting the managers also, who's leading the organization and who's leading the teams. Now there is a difference between the last centuries and this century's organization. If you look at both the columns, I will focus on 21st century manager. If you look at today's organization, is non-bureaucratic, it's flatter. There are fewer levels, rapid career mobility and career growth. The expectations from that senior management leads, you have lower levels of employees, managing the people. They are cross-functional, but at the same time, they are sitting in one location, and at the same time, some of the team members are sitting in another location. So it's a hybrid and metric structure. Uh, then policies and procedures, they have very minimal interdependencies. They are open. So now you have policies and compensation plans which are more change oriented. You want to develop as per your people and as per your market changing dynamics. You cannot have rigid policy and procedure structures as it was in the last century, right? And then in the roles, if you look at the traditional and extended role, today the organization and the people they are working in those organizations, they need to be strategists. They need to have an organization ambassador approach. They should be change leaders. They should be team players and problem solvers. Apart from managing, they should inspire people. And that is why we say that in today's organization, everybody is important. And it is not previously like only the senior management was important and the leader was important. Now every team member is important. And when a leader is managing any team, he must share the direction, he must motivate and inspire and build this mutual trust and build cohesion. Otherwise, the team will not work and it will not give you the right results. And if you look at, I mentioned in my previous slide, the multi-generational workforce. This is what I was referring to. If you look at your organizations, wherever you are working, or if you look around, different organizations, you will see that these organizations have these type of people working. There are some baby boomers who are in their 50s and 60s, and they're a Generation X. And then there is Generation Y, and then there is Generation Z. Each generation has its own aspect of working and coming to work, and they have different meanings. So it has become a complex setup in any organization. So managing that kind of diverse workforce is not easy for any manager and any leader. There are different aspects, and that is why different leadership development programs are introduced to develop these managers and leaders to understand this diverse workforce and include them. And that is why we say these days in management, diversity and inclusion, because and then there are more women coming also at the workplace. So we need to understand this gender aspects also, and gender balance in our management and policy development perspectives as well. And if you look around, I would say that we are leading in a VUCA world. What is a VUCA world? VUCA world is volatile, uncertain, complex, and ambiguous. So if any organization, now by the way, the Global Leadership Forecast and Development Dimension International Group, they have announced this in their conferences and through their researches, that the organizations whose leaders can operate effectively in VUCA world, they are 3 times more likely to be in top 20% of financial performance compared to organizations lacking such leaders. So if you look at the research which is coming out, that if organizations are putting focus on developing their leaders on this perspective, then they will be more successful than those organizations who are not putting focus on these aspects. And what are the capabilities leaders need in VUCA world? That they anticipate and react to the nature and speed of change. You just look at the organizations which are no more in the corporate world now, because they did not anticipate the change, and they did not reacted on time with the speed of change. And the second capability is act decisively without always having clear direction and certainty. So there will be uncertainty always, but you need to act decisively. You need to take quick action. So you need to build your system, your process around this, VUCA world challenges. And then the leaders in VUCA world, they navigate through complexities, chaos, and confusion. So it's given. The complexity will be there, the chaos will be there, the confusion will be there. So they need to navigate through their knowledge, that how they will, they can become more successful. And then they maintain effectiveness despite constant surprises and lack of predictability. So they don't lose focus, they don't lose the temperament, they don't pass on the stress to the team, they manage their stress, because this brings a lot of challenges to the organizations, and then they're on the leaders. So they need to maintain, despite there is constant surprises, constant changes coming up. By the way, I put up the link. You can read this article from Forbes in much detail, and I'm sure it will give you very good insights. Now, managers as servant leader. If we are operating in VUCA world and we need to serve people, what we need to do as managers? So I would say that the modern managers, they need to get work done through engaged, self-managing knowledge workers in today's world. And how should they behave? So there are 4 elements to that. One is that the manager should behave like investor, customer, sports coaches, and partners. So these are you can say, some of the refined competencies which today's managers need to have. How they behave as investors. Managers should allocate resources to obtain best returns like investors do. So they should provide the best possible resources to their teams in terms of technology, the workspace, the policies, the career development opportunities, the culture, the managing them, and his own approach towards people. So they are like investors. Customers, how they behave like customers. As employees become self-employed, business people supplying services to internal customers and able to identify the needs of managers. So you need to make them entrepreneurs. If employees are self-directed and self-employed within the company, they will serve the managers also, and they serve their internal customers like uh, with a professional approach. They will understand their needs. They will come out of this silo mindset. Right now organizations struggle, and the leaders, they struggle, managers, they struggle within the organization because of this silo mentality, that my work, their work, our department, their department, our team, their team. So they need to come up with a customer oriented approach internally. Now how should they behave as sports coaches? If you know, sport coaches, they are like facilitators. They are coordinators and they are advisors to their athletes or whatever people they are coaching, with no power to direct and control them. However, they facilitate, they advise, and they coordinate. So modern managers do more coaching and less directing. So they need to behave like more like coaches than industrial age managers. You understand the difference? They need to empower, they need to enable people, they need to coach them rather than directing them that do this and do that. So they need to reduce their micromanagement, and they need to increase their empowerment. And then last but not the least, that the managers need to behave as partners. So as the power of knowledge workers grows, they become more like partner than hired hands. It was in previous century, we were looking at that, we are hiring hands, we are hiring people. Now we are actually hiring a knowledge worker. And as the knowledge is growing, today's workers or today's employees, they're very well informed. They have very different diverse knowledge sharing channels, and they come with these knowledge levels in them. So as organization a leader, we need to help these knowledge workers to grow their intellectual capital and share and work as partners. So managers, they need to work as partners with their people, so that they feel that they are part of the team. They should not feel that we are working for a person. They should feel that they're working with a person. And with this note, I would like to end this discussion with this note, that how a leader can leave a legacy. You should think about how you can serve your people, how you should be high on humility, courage, and discipline, how you can share the knowledge and vision of your organization with your people, and how you can develop yourself. Because let me tell you, there's one thing which we learn in our colleges and universities, and we come out with that same knowledge. Let me tell you, in corporate or professional life, uh, 20% is the tools and 80% is the psychology which plays the role in your success. So you need to learn the people management side of the business and then the work rather than the tools. So what the tragedy happens when we put more focus on the tools and less on the psychology, and that is where we are unable to lead. We just micromanage, and we lose the energy and the engagement of the people we are serving. So with this quote, I would like to end my discussion. And I think this quote is pretty much saying its message. And with that note, I will be thanking all of you for listening to me. I hope I have tried to share some knowledge. And now I think Servo will open the mic or the chat box for question and answer. If you may have, I would like to answer. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Mr. Muhammad. This was really informative and educational. So any one of you have any question, uh, you can unmute yourself. Or if you feel comfortable writing it in the chat box, that will also work. But I personally have a question, Mr. Muhammad. Like, how do you think like a great leader can like delegate tasks without making the team feel like they are like the leaders overpowering their position? I think that's something a lot of us might struggle with. It's like, am I too nice, or should I just, tell them what to do?
Actually, this is a very good question. The organization need to build system around this whole philosophy, that how they would like to empower their people, and they need to define what need to be delegated, and what cannot be delegated. So the leader has to, or a manager has to understand the pros and cons of delegation, and the team to whom he is delegating, they must be equipped and trained to understand that. Because if you just delegate without equipping the team with the right skill and the mindset, they might mess up. So you don't want that team should mess up. You basically want that the team should become successful. So if you look at the delegation itself, you define the objective, what you will be delegating, and then you develop the people so that they can understand. Because when you empower people, there comes the more responsibility, and with more responsibility, the stress is more. Everybody cannot sustain the stress, so everybody wants to stay in the comfort zone. So we need to educate the team as well, that they need to come out of their comfort zone to sustain this pressure. Because most of the time the leader is taking the pressure. Now when you become empowered and you start taking things on your shoulder, and you are visible enough, then you need to manage that pressure also. So I mean, there are different aspects of managing and delegating and it cannot be done. It has to be done through a system within the organization.
Thank you. Anyone has any questions?
So there's a question in the chat box. I'm just reading what any leader has to. Okay, that's a good question, Helen. That what any leader has to envision when they thinking of their leadership role. You see, it actually it connects with the big picture. Whether you are serving in an organization or you are having your own organization, the role you need to take up, you need to define that role first. That what you will be today, what things you will be leading from now, right now in the first year, and what things you will delegate to your team. So you will develop your successors with you, and then you will delegate those responsibilities gradually. So the vision, it entirely depends that what role you are playing. If you are in a corporate setting, if you are heading any function, then you will develop that particular. I will give you an example of, let's say, a marketing head of marketing, for example, in any organization. The role of a head of marketing is to develop the strategy, to promote the business, to develop to connect the customers with the brand, and improve the brand image of the organization. So he has this role. Now when he's taking up this role, he has to develop his knowledge about these aspects of marketing and branding, and he has to transfer the same knowledge in his to his teams as well, so that they can serve him when they need some data, they need some information from different industry sectors where they are working. So I think this is if I clarified your question, please reply. Otherwise you can ask if you want more detail.
Um, Helen, do you need any more? Okay, thank you. Uh, Feel free if you have any question to write it down in the chat box. Okay, it looks like we don't have any more questions. I will share the recorded version of this webinar along with the presentation that Mr. Muhammad just presented with all of you via an email early next week. Thank you so much for joining us. Thank you so much, Mr. Muhammad. I hope you all benefit from this session. I personally did. And I hope to see you all in our upcoming webinars. Thank you so much and have a great weekend.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Thank you everyone for listening.
Thank you.
Take care.
Bye.
Take care. Goodbye.